Hello, welcome. Today in unit Marxian perspective on development, you are listening to Dr. Sushma Singh. We are going to start critical theory Frankfurt School. And in this we are going to take subtopic totalizing societies. An important part of critical theory is related to their critique of totality and totalizing forces. They were always opposed to any form of totalitarianism, whether it was the totalitarian society of fascism in Germany or the totalizing form of administered socialism in the Soviet Union. Their arguments here make sense given the system that emerged in Nazi Germany and in the Soviet Union, where the structures to control more and more aspects of life were established and acquired greater power. Totalitarian here could mean any system which attempts to govern many or all aspects of social life. Since the critical theorists were living in and were affected by the fascist form of political and social organization, it is no surprise that they developed a model of this totalitarian system. Their intimate knowledge of this system and their later observation of it from exile in the United States each provided them with useful insights concerning the nature of totality. Critical theorists looked on fascism as a new form of monopoly or state capitalism, whereby the state assumed functions previously carried out by a market economy and thus became the primary arbiter of socio-economic development. They looked on this system as a result of political and economic disorder, a system that capitalism developed to survive in the face of challenges from the working class and its own inability to govern itself. This was then a new phase of capitalism, a new synthesis of monopoly capitalism and totalitarian state which threatens to dominate the world and to eliminate its opponents and all vestiges of the earlier form of liberal economy and politics. Attractive as this analysis was, this prediction turned out to be incorrect and capitalism has taken a different form, perhaps totalizing, but in a different manner. However, the experience of the critical theorists with fascism and the totalitarianism helped shape their later analysis. In particular, they focus on the ways such as political economic system achieves a rational, efficient form of production but eliminates alternatives and debates over them. The reading from the Marcus Q's will show how he interpreted the developed these ideas of totality and administered society as applying to societies that are normally considered more democratic and liberal. An additional aspect of discussion is the relative autonomy of the political and the economic spheres. Marxists tended to argue that the state and the political forces operate in the interest of the owners of the capital. Some of the arguments of the critical theorists questioned this, pointing out that the political sphere sometimes was dominant, and the interest of the administered totalitarian society might dominate the economic in some aspects. Another aspect of the analysis of such a system was the psychological analysis of the cultural roots of fascism in attitudes toward the family and authority. For Marxists, this was a new direction for social analysis to take and its form. One of the key critical theorists incorporated Freudian and other psychoanalysis theories into the social theory of Frankfurt School. Now let us take the another point, individual and human nature. For the Frankfurt theorist, human nature was related to the historical condition in which it emerged. Human beings are creative, but their creativity gets dominated by certain conditions under capitalism that appear to be the natural and immutable. The critical theorist argued with the model of absolute individual consciousness and identity that characterized the era of the Enlightenment, and liberal thought gave the legitimate place to individual subjectivity and their relationship with others. In addition to identify non-identity and multiple involvement in the individual meant that self-identity took many different forms. It was in this that the individual can develop creativity and reach beyond an unchanging individual identity. If society allowed the individual to explore and critique different ideas and situations, this would allow the individual to be free. But more and more, the increased sameness and uniformity of society is forced on individuals and prevents this freedom from occurring. Calhoun noted that critical theorists looked on essential human characteristics as crucial for the pursuit of happiness, the need for solidarity with others, and the natural sympathies. These, of course, were developed in particular ways in each specific form of social organization, since people are products of the historical conditions in which they live, but they connect a critical form of reason to this. Horkheimer argues that a form of reason implicit critical of civilization is part of human nature. The problem is that administered and totalizing the society attempt to stifle and constrain this and channel it in a particular direction. And each form argued that there is an essential human nature that is repressed and distorted by capitalist pattern of domination. And each forms contribute to the critical theory involved an analysis of the individual, the family, sexual repression, the economy, and the social context of individual. His writings outline one way in which the work of Freud and the Marx can be integrated. Form argues that there are basic instinct of motive forces for human behavior, but that these are adapted both actively and passively to social reality. For form psychoanalysis seeks to discover the hidden sources of the obviously rational behavior patterns in societal life, in religion, custom, politics, and education. In this way, he combined social psychological approaches with the materialism of Marx, that is, synthesizing the instinctual psychological forces in humans with the effects of economic and material forces on human life. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.